Raise your hand if life ever told you no. Now keep it up if you've ever wanted something so badly, it kept you up at night. But still, the world didn't care. You were left with nothing but your desire. That's where your journey begins. Not when you get what you want, but when you're denied it. Today, I'm not here to tell you that you can have everything. I'm here to prove that you can have anything, if you learn how to want it the right way. Let me tell you how. When people talk about success, the first question they ask is almost always the wrong one. What do I need to start? They assume the path begins with money, connections, intelligence, or even luck. But if you look closely, really study the people who have built something from nothing, you'll find that the foundation wasn't money or status, it was belief. Pure, stubborn, unshakable belief. The kind that burns quietly inside a person long before the world notices them. The kind that makes absolutely no sense to anyone else and still refuses to die. I've met people with every possible resource. Wealthy families, Ivy League degrees, powerful mentors. Yet they stayed stuck, paralyzed by doubt, afraid to move. And I've seen others with no advantages at all, no money, no connections, sometimes not even support from their own families. And yet, somehow they moved forward, not because they had more, but because they believed more. Belief is not wishful thinking. It's not pretending everything will magically work out. Belief is a decision. It's a choice you make to back yourself, even when there's no evidence yet. It's waking up and saying, I don't know how this will happen, but I know I will not stop until it does. Belief is your internal agreement with the future. It's the invisible contract you sign with your dream, promising that no matter what comes, failure, rejection, embarrassment, fear, you're still in. Let me tell you something uncomfortable but true. The world doesn't give you opportunities because you deserve them. It gives them because you're prepared to take them. And belief is the first step in preparing. If you don't believe in what you're doing, no one else will. Not investors, not customers, not employers, not even your own friends or family. That's not because they don't love you. It's because people mirror your energy. If you show up uncertain, the world reflects that uncertainty right back at you. But if you walk into the room with quiet conviction, even when you have nothing but an idea, people feel that. They lean in, they listen. And some, not all, will say, maybe there's something here. Belief does something else too. It gives you resilience. You will be tested. Life will knock you down, often when you least expect it. People will laugh at your goals, question your decisions, and sometimes outright tell you that you're crazy. Belief is what lets you stand back up, even when you're bruised. It's what helps you keep going on the days when it feels like everything is falling apart. Without belief, rejection feels like failure. With belief, rejection feels like fuel. That's the difference. People often say, I'll believe in myself once I see results. But that's like saying you'll plant seeds after the tree grows. Belief comes first. Results come later. In fact, your belief is often the only thing you have in the beginning. And that's enough. That is more than enough. Because when you believe in what you're doing, you start showing up differently. You speak with more clarity. You take bolder risks. You act with purpose, not hesitation. That energy attracts people. It builds momentum. And soon others start to believe in you. Not because they can see your success, but because they can see you. You don't need to be the smartest person in the room. You don't need the perfect plan or the perfect timing. You don't need permission. You need belief. That is the spark. That's where it starts. Everything else, resources, support, knowledge will come, but only after belief sets the foundation. Because before the world believes in your dream, you must. And that belief, unseen, unproven, and unwavering, is the first thing you must master if you want to get whatever you want. Rejection is one of the most misunderstood experiences in life. Most people see rejection as a stop sign, an indicator that they should quit, go back, or try something else. But rejection was never meant to be a wall, it's a mirror. It reflects where are and how badly you want what's on the other side. The most successful people in the world didn't avoid rejection. They embraced it. They used it. They let it sharpen them. Rejection wasn't the thing that ended their journey. It was the thing that ignited it. Let's be honest, rejection hurts. Whether it's being told you didn't get the job the client passed, the investor said no, or someone you trusted walked away, it leaves a mark. It stings in a way that lingers. And when it happens repeatedly, it can start to make you question yourself. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm not ready. Maybe this dream isn't realistic. But let me tell you something powerful. Rejection does not mean you're not worthy. It simply means someone else couldn't see your worth. And sometimes that blindness is a gift. When you're rejected, the easy thing to do is shrink, to make yourself smaller, to lower your expectations so you don't get hurt again. But the powerful thing, the thing that separates the average from the extraordinary, is using rejection as fuel. Every no is data. Every closed door is direction. Rejection isn't personal, it's information. And if you're willing to stop taking it emotionally and start taking it strategically, it becomes one of the greatest tools for growth. Think about every person you admire, entrepreneurs, creators, leaders. At some point, every single one of them was told they weren't good enough. Their ideas were too risky, unrealistic, or too different. But instead of folding, they kept building. Instead of retreating, they refined. They didn't let rejection close the door. They kicked it open later with better timing, better preparation, and a stronger mindset. What made them powerful wasn't their talent. It was their relationship with rejection. They didn't fear it. They fed off it. One of the most dangerous beliefs you can have is thinking rejection is a reflection of your value. It's not. It's a reflection of alignment or misalignment. Maybe the timing was off. Maybe the opportunity wasn't meant for you. Maybe you weren't ready. But that's different from not being capable. Rejection doesn't say, you'll never make it. It says, not this way. Not right now, but keep going. The truth is, rejection is a filter that the world uses to test how serious you are. Anybody can say they want something. That's easy. But the ones who keep pushing after rejection, the ones who show up again and again without bitterness, those are the people who eventually break through. Because rejection clears the path. It weeds out the people who only wanted the reward, not the process. It humbles you. It builds grit. And most of all, it teaches you not to depend on outside approval to move forward. Sometimes rejection reveals something you need to improve. That's okay too. If you're willing to listen without ego, rejection can guide you. It's not just about pushing harder. It's about getting better. It's about learning, evolving, and showing the world that you can't be easily dismissed. The greatest revenge against rejection is not anger. It's excellence. Rejection will come. That's not a question. The question is, what will you do with it? Will you let it define your story? Or will you let it refine your story? Every no can bring you closer to a better yes if you keep walking forward. You weren't meant to be accepted by everyone. You're meant to grow strong enough that you no longer need everyone's approval. Because when you learn how to use rejection, you stop waiting for permission and you start creating your own path. It's easy to be inspired by big dreams. They sound exciting. They look good on vision boards. They get people clapping, sharing, quoting. We all dream of something big, starting a company, changing an industry, achieving financial freedom, becoming a leader, creating something that outlives us. And we should. Because dreaming big gives you direction. It pulls you forward. It sets your inner compass towards something meaningful. But the mistake so many people make, the reason so many dreams remain unfulfilled, is that they spend too much time fantasizing about the destination and not enough time walking the actual path. You don't build a legacy by dreaming. You build it by doing the small, unglamorous, invisible actions that no one celebrates, but everyone eventually sees the result of. Dreaming big without acting small is like trying to build a skyscraper without laying a single brick. You stand there, arms folded, looking at the empty land, talking about how tall your building will be. But you haven't picked up a tool. You haven't touched the dirt. You haven't poured a foundation. Big dreams don't come to life because you want them. They come to life because you're willing to honor them with consistent, daily effort, even when the results are nowhere in sight. It's not the grand moments that build success. It's the small, repeated ones. It's waking up early to practice your craft. It's saying no to distractions. It's making uncomfortable decisions. It's sending one more email, fixing one more error, trying again when it would be easier to quit. These small acts done again and again create momentum, and momentum compounds. But here's the problem. Most people don't get excited by small steps. They want instant success. They want overnight results. And when they don't get them, they assume the dream isn't possible. or worse, that they weren't meant for it. That's the lie that kills more potential than failure ever will. Because dreaming big without patience is dangerous. It leads to frustration, doubt, comparison. You look at others who are ahead of you and forget that they too started with small steps. You assume they had an advantage. You don't see the late nights, the quiet sacrifices, the hundreds of times they failed in silence while the world wasn't looking. The truth is, every big dream you admire was built on a mountain of small actions. There is no shortcut. There is only commitment. Think about a tree. You can't plant a seed today and expect fruit tomorrow. You water it, you protect it, you wait. The growth is slow, sometimes invisible, but it's happening. And the only way it doesn't work is if you stop. That's how dreams work too. They grow slowly, quietly, and then suddenly. But only for the people who stay consistent. Only for those who don't get discouraged by the smallness of today. The world doesn't need more dreamers. It needs more builders. People who are willing to roll up their sleeves and take action. Even when it's boring, even when it's hard, even when no one claps. The dreamers who make the biggest impact are the ones who combine vision with discipline. They see the end goal, yes, but they obsess over the process. They fall in love with the work. And because of that, the dream doesn't stay a fantasy. It becomes real. It becomes visible. It becomes something others can touch, feel, and be inspired by. So yes, dream big. Dare to imagine something extraordinary. Let that vision set your soul on fire. But never let the size of the dream intimidate you into inaction. Start small, stay consistent. Focus on the next right step. Because greatness isn't built in a day, it's built daily. Success doesn't happen in isolation. No matter how brilliant your ideas are, no matter how driven or talented you think you are, if you try to walk the road to success alone, you will eventually hit a wall. Because success is not just about what you're building, it's about who you're building it with. You can have the most detailed plan, the perfect strategy, the smartest spreadsheet, but without the right people beside you, it will feel like pushing a boulder uphill in the rain. Plans are important, yes, but people are essential. They are the difference between momentum and burnout, between good ideas and real execution, between surviving and thriving. A lot of people fall in love with their vision, but forget to invest in relationships. They become obsessed with structure, timelines, and systems, but they overlook the human element. They forget that at every level of progress, people matter. You need people who believe in what you're doing, who bring strengths you don't have, who challenge your blind spots, and who stand beside you when things go wrong. You need people who care not just about the goal, but about the journey, and about who you are becoming in the process. Because no matter how self-sufficient you are, there will be moments you can't carry the weight alone. Some people struggle with this idea because they've been hurt before. They've been let down, betrayed, disappointed. Maybe they built something with someone and that person walked away. Maybe they trusted the wrong partner or friend or investor. And because of that pain, they decided to build alone, to never depend on anyone again. It's a form of protection, but it's also a prison. Because while independence might keep you safe, it will also keep you small. The truth is, healing doesn't come from isolation. It comes from connection. And the only way to go far is to go together. We live in a culture that celebrates the solo genius, the lone entrepreneur, the self-made millionaire, the I did it all myself myth. But when you look deeper, every one of those stories includes a circle of people who made it possible. Advisors, partners, team members, even critics. No one makes it without support. The difference is, successful people know how to build teams, not just plans. They know how to listen, how to communicate, how to create environments where others feel ownership and purpose. They know that emotional intelligence matters as much as technical skill. And when you find the right people, people whose values align with yours, who share the vision, who are willing to do the hard work beside you, everything accelerates. The wins feel bigger, the losses feel lighter, and the whole process becomes more meaningful. You begin to realize that the people you build with aren't just helping you achieve your goals. They're shaping you into someone better. They're making you more patient, more accountable, more adaptable. And that kind of growth can't happen alone. Even your biggest plans will change. Markets shift. Life throws curveballs. Unexpected things happen. But when you're building with the right people, you can adapt. You can pivot. You can turn setbacks into breakthroughs. Because people bring perspective. They bring energy when yours is low. They remind you who you are when you forget. And sometimes their belief in you is what keeps the whole thing moving forward. So yes, dream big. Write your strategy. Set your goals. But don't make the mistake of thinking that's enough. Find the people who will walk with you. Invest in trust. Communicate with honesty. Choose relationships that stretch you, not just comfort you. Because in the end, it's not the blueprint that builds the dream. It's the team behind it. Failure has become a buzzword. People talk about it in inspirational quotes and TED Talks using phrases like fail forward or failure is part of the journey. But the truth is most people are still terrified of it. They avoid it. They deny it. They'd hide it. Because no matter how often we romanticize failure in theory, facing it in real life still feels deeply uncomfortable. It touches your ego, it bruises your pride, and it makes you question your worth. But here's what most people don't understand. Failure isn't your enemy. It's your greatest teacher. And the people who rise to the top are not the ones who avoid failure. They are the ones who are willing to fail loudly, publicly, visibly, and without shame, while committing to learn quietly, humbly, and with full attention behind the scenes. Failing loudly doesn't mean being reckless or careless. It means being unafraid to try even when the outcome is uncertain. It means taking the shot, knowing you might miss, but doing it anyway because you believe growth is more important than your reputation. It means launching the product even when it's not perfect, speaking up even if your voice shakes, applying even when you think you're underqualified, starting the project even if you feel underprepared. You don't get better by hiding in the shadows. You get better by doing in the open, by putting your name behind your effort, by being seen. Even if that means being seen while you fail. This matters because most people are waiting for perfection before they begin. They're waiting to feel ready, waiting to be sure, waiting until there's no risk of failure. And while they wait, someone else, someone less talented, less experienced, but more courageous, is taking action. And guess what? That person is learning faster, growing faster, winning sooner. Because they understand that the faster you're willing to fail, the faster you're able to succeed. Success is not a straight line. It's a loop of action, feedback, correction, and evolution. And failure is not a step back. It's an accelerator if you use it right. But here's the part most people miss. While you fail loudly, you must also learn quietly. That means after the noise dies down, after the dust settles, after everyone else moves on, you sit with your experience and reflect. You don't make excuses. You don't blame others. You don't spiral into self-pity. You study, you ask honest questions. What went wrong? What did I miss? What can I do better next time? You take accountability not as punishment, but as power. Quiet learning is how you extract wisdom from the pain. And that wisdom is what makes you unstoppable the next time you step into the arena. The quiet part matters because growth doesn't always need to be broadcast. Sometimes, the most powerful development happens in silence. When no one's watching, when there's no applause, when it's just you and your truth. That's where character is built. That's where discipline is formed. That's where the foundation of resilience is laid. People may see your comeback, but they won't see the thousands of quiet moments you spent rebuilding your mindset, sharpening your skills, and recommitting to your vision after the failure. And they don't need to, because you're not doing it for validation. You're doing it for transformation. Everyone wants the final product, but not everyone is willing to be seen during the process. And that's where the real difference lies. If you can embrace the mess, the setbacks, the mistakes, if you can own your failures and still keep moving, you become someone the world cannot ignore. You become someone who can't be broken. Because you've already survived what most people fear. You stop needing to be perfect and start being real. And that's where real power begins. Hunger is one of the most powerful forces behind success. When you have nothing, no money, no support, no recognition, it's natural to be hungry. You feel the urgency. You feel the pressure. You feel the fire under your feet pushing you forward. You wake up early, stay up late, and do whatever it takes because you know the cost of staying where you are. That hunger is raw, it's real, and it becomes your fuel. But here's the paradox that most people don't talk about. It's not just hard to win when you're starting from the bottom. It's even harder to stay driven once you start to taste success. When comfort enters, hunger can disappear. And that is where many people lose everything they work so hard for. When you're broke, it's easy to hustle. You have no other option. Your back is against the wall, and your fear becomes a motivator. You push because you must. But what happens when you finally get a little money? When you get the promotion? When your business starts making profit? When people start recognizing your name, following your work, inviting you to rooms you used to dream of? That's where a different kind of test begins, and it's a silent one. It doesn't come with alarms or warnings. It creeps in quietly, through comfort, through routine, through subtle thoughts like, I've done enough, or I deserve to relax, or I can slow down now. Before you know it, the same fire that once pushed you becomes a soft flicker. That's the real danger. Success has a way of making you forget why you started. You get caught in the rewards, and slowly, the edge that made you unstoppable starts to dull. You stop taking the risks you used to take. You stop stretching yourself. You stop being uncomfortable. And eventually, without realizing it, you become the very person you swore you'd never be, complacent. And here's the truth. No one tells you complacency is the silent killer of growth. If you want to keep winning, you have to stay hungry. Not just when you're climbing, but when you're at the top. Because the moment you start believing you've made it, the moment you get too comfortable, that's when you start declining. Hunger isn't about desperation. It's about discipline. It's about waking up every day and reminding yourself that the standard is still excellence, the mission is still alive, and there is always another level to reach. It's about showing the same level of grit, drive, and humility when you're full as you did when you were empty. The most legendary individuals in business, sports, art, leadership, they all share this trait. They don't let success make them soft. In fact, their hunger grows with every milestone. Because they're not just chasing money or status, they're chasing mastery, purpose, impact. And those things don't come with a finish line. There is no done. There's only better. There's only deeper. There's only more to give, more to learn, more to build. So ask yourself, what's fueling you? Is it the pain of the past or the promise of the future? Is it just about escaping struggle, or is it about becoming who you were born to be? No matter how far you've come, because the real champions are the ones who are just as focused when they're comfortable as they were when they were desperate. They don't need the world falling apart to motivate them. They are driven by something internal, something deeper, a standard, a mindset, a purpose that outlives the paycheck and outlasts applause. Staying hungry is not about being dissatisfied. It's about staying committed. Committed to the process, to growth, to the mission. It's the ability to say, I'm grateful for how far I've come, but I'm not done yet. That is the mindset that separates who have short success from those who build something that lasts. In a world obsessed with getting attention, getting money, getting status, getting ahead, it's easy to forget a timeless truth. The more you give, the more you grow. Not always in obvious ways, not always immediately, but over time, giving is what creates real value, real impact, and real legacy. The people who rise and stay resin, the people who are respected, fulfilled, and followed long after the noise dies down. They are not the ones who took the most. They are the ones who gave the most. Because when you give more than you take, you don't just build a brand or a bank account. You build trust. You build community. You build a reputation that money can't buy. Giving isn't weakness. Giving is power. It's the kind of power that multiplies. When you give your knowledge, your time, your attention, your kindness, your energy, even when no one is watching, you're planting seeds. And those seeds grow in ways you can't always predict. Maybe it's a connection that opens a door 5 years later. Maybe it's someone remembering how you helped them when no one else did. Maybe it's a reputation that begins to speak louder than any advertisement ever could. People remember givers. People are drawn to those who genuinely want to contribute, not just consume. But in today's culture, it's easy to become transactional. You do something and immediately expect something in return. What do I get out of this? What's in it for me? Why should I help? It doesn't benefit me right now. That mindset might give you short-term gains, but it will never lead to long-term greatness. Because true value is created through service, not self-interest. You don't win by keeping score. You win by raising the game for everyone around you. And here's what most people don't realize. Giving doesn't mean giving everything away. It doesn't mean letting people walk over you or sacrificing your own growth. It means contributing without conditions. It means showing up with an attitude of abundance, not scarcity. It means trusting that when you put good into the world, it comes back, not always from the same person or place, but in ways that are often far greater than what you gave. Think about the people who've impacted your life the most. The teachers, mentors, friends, leaders. Were they takers or were they givers? Chances are they poured something into you that they didn't have to. They shared wisdom, time, encouragement, not for profit, but because they believed in giving. That's what made them unforgettable. And that's the kind of impact you have the power to create when you choose to give. Giving builds leadership. When you give credit instead of hoarding it, people trust you. When you give your team space to grow, they become more loyal. When you give customers more value than they expect, they come back, and they bring others with them. When you give without ego, you build influence that doesn't have to be forced. It happens naturally, because generosity is magnetic. It stands out. It cuts through the noise in a world full of people trying to get attention without offering anything of real substance. Even in competition, giving works. Give respect, give effort, give your best, give without needing to be seen. Because over time, people start to notice that you operate differently. You become the person people trust, the one they call, the one they want to build with, the one who's not just in it for themselves. And that is rare. That is powerful. That is what opens doors you didn't even know existed. So give more. Give before you feel ready. Give when no one is clapping. Give when it's not required. Give when it's uncomfortable. Give even when you're still climbing. Because the truth is, giving is not what you do when you've arrived. It's what gets you there.